Welcome to Uncaged, a show that celebrates thought leadership from today's top business leaders. The program provides a voice to amazing executives from around the globe who are shaping the world of business today and mapping the path to the commerce of tomorrow. Today, we're speaking with Kim Flynn. Hey, Kim, how are you?
I'm well, thanks.
I'm excited to learn more about what you're working on, Kim. Kim is the managing director at XA Investments. Now, I'm probably not going to do XA Investments full justice, but that's okay because I know we'll delve more deeply into it. But they're an investment manager and product design consultant that provides innovative solutions to amplify your business. And we'll talk about what that means in terms of how they can access institutional caliber alternative investments, deliver product design and consulting services, offer education and insights, and then last but not least, offer innovation that drives outcomes. And I'm sure Kim will have lots more details for us there. But before we get there, Kim, tell us a little bit about yourself and your career.
Sure. Well, I live in Chicago with my family, and I know. I spent a long time working at Nuveen Investments, where I learned the product development business, and in particular, the closed-end fund arena is an area where Nuveen is a leader still today. And I was lucky to be mentored by a number of leaders there who had tremendous experience in this marketplace. And what's exciting about the market today, I left Nuveen about 6 years ago to found this business because there were so many opportunities to partner with terrific asset managers with long track records, particularly where we focus is on the alternative investment side. And there was a growing opportunity to help those firms raise capital. And in particular, we raise permanent capital, which is really exciting for alternative managers who are looking for sources of permanent capital. And I've been doing this now, this same sort of capital raising and product development work for the last 20 years.
So I'm excited to know more about XA Investments, but I'm going to ask kind of a generalized question to kick it off, which is alternative investments. What's an alternative investment, and what's an alternative investment to you?
Sure, that's the perfect question. So we work in the space of including private equity, venture capital, real assets, including real estate. We also look at private investment arenas, thematic areas of investment, such as in natural capital or biodiversity, areas that would be considered more impact or sustainable investment. So you're typically thinking of alternatives as things that are different than traditional mutual fund, public equity or public debt exposures. So what's going to complement an investor's portfolio? There's some emerging, what I would call emerging alternatives, things like cryptocurrencies and other areas of the investment arena that get quite a bit of press and attention. My focus is largely trying to make what alternatives accessible to individual investors, because frankly, individual investors don't have great access to managers and strategies the way that pension funds and endowments do today.
Yeah, I think it's a really interesting point. It's one of the things that I think comes up almost from a generational perspective. I suppose that, high net individuals get a ton of access to alternative investments, high value alternative investments. But I do know that millennials are excited by these things, but they want to know how to access this stuff.
It's true. It's a larger trend that McKinsey has written about in their research for the last 10 years, which, you've got the decline of defined benefit programs, which was the way that Americans retired. But now, retirement savings is on everybody's shoulders in terms of being able to contribute to your 401k and save for retirement. But the one thing that, with that shift, if you think about what a pension does or an endowment does, they make very long-term investments in illiquid assets. And that's what is driving over time the higher returns that those institutional investors like pension and endowments experience. And individual investors don't necessarily have the benefit of those less liquid or illiquid assets. And so the advent of some new product innovation is what's opening up access. We're also seeing some interesting trends with like direct to consumer platforms, particularly as you say, those are of interest to millennials. I think that the work that I've always done has been through the financial advisor channel, and I really do believe that when you're talking about your investment portfolio or saving for retirement, it is helpful to have an advisor who can guide you. In particular, when you're investing in complex or risky investments such as alternatives. And so I have a bit of skepticism about some of the direct to consumer products, only because that element of advice is not there.
Yeah, it's a good point, especially right now when things are a little bit unpredictable in nature. So, XA Investments, tell me a little bit more about kind of the process that a customer goes through when they work with you guys. What are the kind of the key points of differentiation for you guys?
Sure. Our customers or our partners are asset managers largely. Ultimately, our products are sold to financial advisors and end investors. But we start with our first client relationship, which is that partnership that we have with the asset manager. And so our business at XA, we have a proprietary fund platform. And so asset managers can partner with us. We don't have inside wealth management. So we hire externally, we partner with sub-advisors, and we build products together. Another way that we partner with our asset management clients is through our consulting practice. And so on a white label basis, we can build a fund and launch it on their behalf. We call it consulting services, but it's really outsourced product development and deal execution. A lot of what we're doing is running the process so that the product is launched successfully and capital is raised in line with the client's expectations. So we're a great partner for asset managers that are looking to break into some of these new markets.
So, Kim, I don't want you to spill too much of the secret sauce here, but lots of alternative investments happening out in the marketplace. You talked a little bit earlier about some of the edgier things. When you look out there and you see trends, what are the things that are hottest? What are the ones that people are really gravitating towards right now?
Well, sure. I think in the US, we do work in the US and the UK. In the US, I'll start there. I think with inflation being top of mind, investors are looking for either floating rate assets or assets that might be a potential inflation hedge. So think about real estate, think about farmland. And so that's really the goal today. We've seen a lot of investors move to cash, a flight to safety. And so now I think as investors gain more certainty, they're going to be looking at a number of these different alternatives that can deliver on their income goals, but also deliver on some of those other objectives like serving as an inflation hedge. Now, in the UK marketplace, their investment community is particularly interested in alternatives, sustainable and impact-oriented investments for them is much higher interest, and things like natural capital and biodiversity are where we're focused there.
Well, I've been following what's happening in the UK closely. I actually went to college with Kwasi Kwarteng, their chancellor, and he is up against it right now. Yeah, exactly. He is up against it. We'll see how that turns out. So I want to kind of ask you an interesting one and kind of take a slight kind of left turn here and talk about the pandemic. It was an interesting moment for people. They saw their investment portfolios shift because of really, I'd say, a moment in society, a societally changing moment. You started XA Investments a couple years before the pandemic and you rode through it. Tell me a little bit about that roller coaster ride.
Well, it's really interesting. Our business is a little bit counter-cyclical in the sense that, executives, heads of business development that we partner with, in some ways, 2019 or 2021, when they're really busy and everything is roses and everything is working well, they don't necessarily have the time, or it's not a priority to think about launching a new fund. But in 2020, what I said is that, particularly with work from home and processes changing, is that the decision makers, the leaders in the organization, for better or worse, they went back to making unilateral decisions. And so that benefited our business, because to hire an outside consultant to launch a new product, they just cut right through the red tape and they said, we're going to launch that product and we're going to hire an expert in that area where we don't have expertise. So we actually think that it moved things along quite faster. And we're seeing that now too in 2022, because you kind of have an opportunity to revamp, go back to the drawing board. And so you start thinking about launching a new product or a new fund or entering a new market. And so that's what the benefit of our consulting practice is, that, we're able to help clients, when they have time to focus on some of these projects. And part of it is these projects can take anywhere from 6 to 12 months. So it's good, to use these quieter moments to jumpstart some of that work effort.
So maybe we're in another counter-cyclical moment again. I mean, you mentioned it early on that people are thinking a lot about inflation. There's been a little bit of a jittery moment in the public markets here and there, and maybe more to come. I don't know. Tell me a little bit about what you're seeing right now and in the near future.
Well, I think capital markets for the products that we develop have been closed all year, both in the US and the UK. And so we're seeing some, green shoots in terms of signs of life of funds that should be launched in the near future. But I think that with capital markets being closed, there's a lot more time and planning for what will get done in 2023. So we're also seeing our clients, our mutual fund clients, face significant outflows from more traditional products, equities, and debt. So it puts a focus for advisors and for asset managers back on, well, where can we raise capital? What are clients going to be looking for that's different? So it's an interesting time because people are more open, they're more receptive to alternatives. And when the equity market is working, the bias is, to continue allocating capital to equity markets, even though there's been a ton of education in the last 10, 15 years. So this is a good moment for us to be shining a spotlight on performing areas of the alternative market.
That's good. It's an interesting time for sure. I would say that I don't think I ever was very sure that I was making the right choices in investments. But right now, getting good advice is going to be absolutely, absolutely critical. If someone wanted to learn more about what you and your team are doing at XA Investments, where's the best place to reach you?
Sure. XA Investments, LinkedIn or Twitter. You can find me, you can find XA. We've got a lot of white papers if you're looking to read up a little bit more about how to break into some of these new product markets.
Yeah, I definitely want to take a look at some of that stuff. I think you mentioned some of the stuff that you might have written about, some kind of edgy alternative stuff. So maybe that's there for us too, Kim. Well, listen, thank you so much for being on Uncaged today. We've been speaking with Kim Flynn. Kim has been taking us through XA Investments. She's the managing director and the founder of XA Investments. And XA Investments is an investment manager and a product design consultant that provides innovative solutions to amplify your business. We've been talking about really the alternative investment landscape, and in fact, actually how it's evolved over the last couple of years, how different groups are actually jumping on board, and how, in fact, I would say it seems to be getting a little bit more accessible based on the conversations. Kim, thank you so much for being on Uncaged today, and we look forward to having you back.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
Cheers.